I've had a debate in the comments with a person on my God is not love video. In the end, he sent me a video explaining Plantinga. Link is in the bottom bar. I was going to send a written response, but by the time I was done, I had written a script worth, so here goes. For many centuries, since the ancient Greek philosophers, there has been the problem of evil in terms of God or gods. The argument against an omnipotent, omniscient, and omnibenevolent God goes like this. The argument attributed to Epicurus states the following. Is God willing to prevent evil, but not able? Then he is not omnipotent. Is he able but not willing? Then he is malevolent. Is he both able and willing? Then whence cometh evil? If he is neither able nor willing, then why call him God? Plantinga believes he has a way around the problem by saying that having people with the ability to do both good and evil with free will, so long as more good is done by the overall population than evil, it's better than the inability to do evil with no free will. Plantinga is sadly very ignorant of the nature of man. If there is evil in the world, there is much more than there is good, and the good that is done is working very hard to make up for the evil done. And there was certainly much more in the past, as data shows the number of people who die in wars as well as crime rates are dropping slowly worldwide. Yet at the same time, half the population lives on less than $2 a day because of a mix of their system and lack of overall education, leading to corruption and abuse of their resources, and our own self-interest preventing us from helping give them an infrastructure they need that would allow them to make their own lives better. Hell, we can't even do that here for our citizens. Oscar Wilde made the argument that it's potentially more evil to give small donations to the impoverished that makes us feel good and like we're doing something if they aren't actually going to fix the system that got them there in the first place, because these people will have to face even more hardships they're not adequately prepared for. Most of us are altruistic, but can be changed by our emotions. 5% of the world is incapable of empathy, which is the root of altruism, and these people are sociopaths and psychopaths. People who are sexually or physically abused often also have their mirror neurons damaged and cannot feel empathy. In bad areas, this can propagate evil to be repeated. This 5% is also attracted to power and wealth, and they see their competition to acquiring these things as not as people, but as things that need to be removed, and they will say and do anything to get what they want. Many learn to sway people using and manipulating their own natural biases and mental blind spots, as well as our altruistic empathy, to control us and use our emotions to make us do truly evil things we intend as good. These people do not have a choice because they didn't have the empathy or quote-unquote conscience the rest of us innately have. Only a good, healthy upbringing can allow these 5%ers to have ethics explained to them in a way they understand. If God is real, he allowed these children to be born without the ability the rest of us have, and allowed them to have a bad upbringing so they really would have no check on their emotions. God truly does not give many free will. We must be taught how to use it or to achieve it. Our own emotions, we have found, are more often than not override our logic, allowing us to do truly stupid things. Our emotions are very subject to our diet, past experiences, and many times our hormones, which is why teens do some of the most irrational and stupid things possible. It's not that God didn't stop evil, it's that he never gave us the free will. Many of us learn mental constructs ourselves in methods like math and reading, and only some of us can do it. Many people with bipolar without medication are always on a knife edge from doing things they'll regret later because their mania makes them act irrational. Only by their exhausting sheer willpower and hours of self-training and therapy using little tricks to keep themselves from doing stuff, which people call evil, are these things prevented. People like myself with Asperger's literally are so direct and honest, we can hurt people's feelings often until they learn to understand us and we learn to control ourselves and better understand them. Is evil the intention or the outcome? The road to hell is paved with good intentions, and we can do more harm than good if we don't understand the complex situation fully. And until recently, thanks to science, it was nearly impossible to have the time, education, or information needed to get a clear vision of the reality to make the best decisions. Heck, even nowadays, most of us are too uninformed to actually really grasp the situation. Immanuel Kant made the argument that we cannot judge people because we cannot know their intentions, because we can't truly know their mind. Crippling depression makes up people in certain hormonal cycles who literally cannot move because there is a battle raging in their brains between hormones. These disorders have been looked on for centuries by the church as sloth, evil, or demons, and now it's only through the power of science that we had to discover for ourselves with no help from God. Only about 30% of people make up what the population considers normal. People with schizophrenia can abandon their families, cause harm to others, waste money and time because they're literally working on a different version of reality than the rest of us, and most often it's paranoia that people are out to get them, or their family is no longer their real family. These people may be doing something that in their mind is completely good in their version of reality, but it turns out to be evil in our version of reality. I'm not saying that God should stop every single crime committed. What I'm saying is, if he was loving and caring, he would have given us all an equal playing field psychologically, and not made our emotions so prevalent in making us do things we'd regret. It is a massive flaw in our design that kept us without modern convenience and the ability to truly understand reality and ourselves for millennia. These are major design flaws that if you understand science, you'll see as perfectly natural and predictable, as there are all ranges of extremes of gene expression in all populations. If we were designed, however, this was horribly done. On top of that, our general makeup is flawed when you look at the rest of the designs he could have chosen to make us. Octopus and squid have some of the best eyeballs that are comparable with the human eye in function. However, the human eye has a detachable retina, which causes a blind spot in all of us that is only compensated by constant twitching, which is extremely inefficient and wasteful. It can also detach if the head takes too many blows, which happens quite often in battle, or in just everyday hunter-gathering, or it can deteriorate over time through age. The rabbit has a uterus that doesn't bleed once a month, something that has placed many women in inferior, discriminating, and abusive positions because of superstition for most of history, and would be a great way for a predator to follow the scent. Instead, the rabbit reabsorbs the blood and reuses it, saving nutrients. Octopi eyes and rabbit uteruses could probably work just fine in us, but they weren't. Why? Well, from an evolutionary standpoint, many different species evolved on different lines for specific reasons, and some organs evolved superior to others. The octopi evolved the eye independent of ours, and through luck of the draw happened to get one super efficient, but ours did what it needed to do to allow us to survive and reproduce. The same with a rabbit. A God who designed us did a horrible job and made no sense if we were created in his image to be perfect. But that makes complete sense without him. Of all creatures in the world, aside from those domestically bred, we have some of the worst knees and backs. They are prone to disintegration and damage with age. It's because they weren't designed for walking upright. They were the best and most efficient bones that evolved for walking on all fours, and later tree living. They adapted to work in us, but they still suck and are horrible design flaws by an intelligent creator. On top of that, birth defects make sense in the world of evolution, because there are extremes in all genes for mutations and natural selection ensures that the ones that are too extreme will die because they can't function in the real world. In a world of God, it makes no sense, as some are born without skin, some without an immune system, and die straight out of the womb. 80% of all fertilized eggs are aborted. If God were real, he has caused more abortions than any human ever could. If they were created in his image, there's no way they would have ended up like that. God is not all-knowing, he is not all-powerful, and he certainly isn't all-loving, or he would have given all of us the psychological abilities needed without centuries of trial and error we had to learn to overcome them. Plantinga's argument doesn't hold water at all, mainly because his views and understanding of the human being is all wrong, starting with the assumption that we're all very alike psychologically, and we can overcome our emotions very easily with logic. According to him, we all have the same understanding, conscience, and limiters that everyone else has. I believed as a Christian that we were all given a conscience, and our logic was just as, if not more powerful than our emotions, and it was the complete choice of everyone to do evil. I and many others have judged others going against Matthew 7, and we were completely unaware of the plank in our own eyes. Not because we were lazy or evil. Many times we were just completely blinded by our own psychological conditioning, or conditions, and ignorant to the harm we were causing others while judging others for doing the same. It's our fault and our giving in to sin that we go out and do evil, according to Plantinga. Well, actually, the opposite is true. There's no level playing field in terms of psychology. It's a vast range of gradients where every gene is tested at every extreme. Plantinga would be correct in his assertion if his understanding of the human being was correct. But science shows that the world would be probably a much better place if we were all a lot more altruistic, if not for our extreme variations in our brain. The number of people who logically choose to do evil would be so few and far between, and their impact would be limited because we would all stop the person. Our own logic would force us to do that. We wouldn't be lazy, and we wouldn't be apathetic, and we wouldn't be ignorant of the problems. Before you make any assertions about humans and sin, please do a deep study of psychology. You will limit your own ignorance, which in turn will limit the amount of unwitting harm done to others, which will make the world just a slightly better place, not because of a God, but because we understand ourselves and we are making it a better place.